Hey everybody, this is Sister Marjorie Arcana with the Soil Sisters, just inviting you to come sit with us for story time. Bring snacks, bring a blanket, bring a pillow, get as comfortable as possible, get them yummy snacks out because it is going to be a treat. Have a wonderful day and thank you for spending time with us.
Hello, everyone. It's Sister Milkshake again, ready to read you another story, this time for October story time. And what we'll be reading today is a book by Ryan T. Higgins called We Don't Eat Our Classmates. Penelope Rex was nervous. It was not every day a little T. Rex starts school. What are my classmates going to be like? Will they be nice? How many teeth will they have? This was very important. Penelope's mom bought her a new backpack with ponies on it. Ponies were Penelope's favorite because ponies are delicious. And Penelope's dad packed her a lunch of 300 tuna sandwiches and one apple juice. Finally, the big day came, and Penelope Rex was very surprised to find out that all of her classmates were children. Imagine being the only T-Rex in your whole class. I'm sure some of you feel that way on occasion too. But what did Penelope do? So she ate them. Because children are delicious. Penelope Rex, Mrs. Noodleman said. We don't eat our classmates. Please spit them out at once. So she did. Look at all those slobbery kids. It was not the best way to start school. Still, Penelope was determined to have a good first day. She tried hard to make friends at recess. She finger-painted some of her best work. She even saved Griffin Emery a seat at lunch. You can sit right there, she says, on her plate. Penelope started to notice that everyone was making friends, but her. It was lonely. When she got home, her dad asked about her first day at school. I didn't make any friends, Penelope cried. None of the children wanted to play with me. Penelope Rex, her father asks, did you eat your classmates? Well, maybe sort of. Just a little bit. Sometimes it's hard to make friends, said her dad, especially if you eat them. You see, Penelope, children are just the same as us on the inside, just tastier. That gave Penelope a lot to think about. The next day, Penelope tried really hard. But poor Penelope, she could not stop herself from eating her classmates. Look at that girl's talent. Mrs. Noodleman, Penelope ate William Amato again. And they were all afraid of her. except Walter. Walter was a goldfish. So Penelope tried to make friends with him. She put her finger in there and she said, "Will you be my friend?" You know what happened? Chomp! Eee! Cried Penelope. "He's eating my finger!" Wah! Once Penelope found out what it was like to be someone's snack, she lost her appetite for children. She stopped eating her classmates, even when Cece Woodman spilled barbecue sauce all over herself. And soon, Penelope made friends. Now, even when children look especially delicious, she peeks at Walter and remembers what it's like when someone tries to eat you. And Walter the goldfish stares right back at her and licks his lips. A pretty good reminder. Because dinosaurs are delicious. Thank you for spending time with me today. See you next time.
Greetings. It is I, Mothra Stewart, and I'm here in the middle of October to share with you a truly delicious and slightly scary thing. Did you know? Did you know that you can tell the entire alphabet with moths? Well, that's what we're going to do today. Are you ready? I'm going to share my screen like I've done before, and we're going to share this particular story. Here it is. Oh, let me make it even bigger. What do you think? Okay, a little bit bigger anyway. This is not a butterfly alphabet book. It's about time. Moths had their own books, and I agree. Much as I love some butterflies, moths do deserve their own books. This is by Jerry Pallotta and Shannon Bersani. Look at that. That's a Luna moth, by the way, eating on a daisy right there, which I'm pretty sure they do in fact do. A is for Atlas moth. Don't even think about calling the creature a butterfly. This is a moth. The Atlas moth is the largest moth in the world. Wingtip to wingtip, this moth can be as wide as this page, or about that wide if you're looking, like if you put your hands apart, 2 hand widths apart. Isn't that pretty big? That's a pretty big moth. B is for Bella moth. The word Bella means beautiful. Most people think butterflies are more colorful than moths and have more intricate and interesting wings. It's not true. Moths are spectacular too, and I'm here to tell you that is true. C is for cow moth. Butterflies and moths land differently. Most butterflies land with their wings folded. Moths land with their wings spread out. Most of them, not all of them. The cow moth, we want to say one thing: moo. Look at that. Look at that pattern. Doesn't that look like a cow moth? That looks like a cow pattern to me. D is for diamond moth. This moth looks like it belongs on in a jet book. It's the same shape as the Delta Dart fighter. Yet moths are insects, and insects have 6 legs. A jet is an aircraft and does not have legs. It has landing gear instead. I'm pretty sure you probably knew that, but this book wanted to make sure you were clear on that concept. E is for emperor moth. My, what lovely fake eyes you have. Since birds, tiny mammals, and small reptiles enjoy eating moths, yes, it's true. These printed eyes are perfect for scaring predators away. If a predator catches the moth, it usually eats the body and leaves the wings. F is for fly moth. Nature is truly amazing. This moth has upper wings that mimic red-eyed flies eating bird poop. Some moths have wings designed to mimic eyes, sticks, and leaves. This moth is also called a mural moth. Look at that. It's got like a painting all over its wings. That's fascinating. Okay, this one I've done before. This one I'm very familiar with. G is for green lips moth. While walking through the rainforest, look for the green lips moth. No kissing allowed. The green lips moth could be mistaken for a green leaf. It's also known as the giant silkworm moth. Look at that wonderful shape. And yeah, I've used that color before. It's very, very, very effective. I speak highly of it. H is for hummingbird moth. It looks like a hummingbird. It flies like a hummingbird. It sounds like a hummingbird. It eats like a hummingbird, but don't be fooled. It is a moth. H could have also been for Hercules moth. Some people think that the Hercules moth is the largest moth on Earth. Others disagree and say that the Atlas moth is the largest. Oh no, we have a controversy. I is for imperial moth. Gosh, can you see it? It almost disappears in here. This yellow moth is camouflaged when sitting on a yellow flower, that is. It probably is camouflaged when it's sitting on a yellow flyer as well. A scientist who collects and studies butterflies and moths is called a lepidopterist. Lepidoptera is a Latin word that means scale wing, because the wings of butterflies and moths have tiny, tiny scales on them. What do butterfly, moths, reptiles, most fish, and 2 mammals have in common? Scales. The pangolin. A pangolin is, right here, a mammal with scales made of keratin. Keratin is what our nails and hair are made of. So it's almost like it has fingernails all over its body. The lizard, this orange gecko, is a lizard, and they also have scales. The moth, this is a close-up right here of a moth wing. Butterflies and moths have delicate wings with tiny scales. If you touch them, the scales wipe off and look like dust on your fingers, but don't do that. It impacts their flying. Snakes, no, snakes are also reptiles, and they're reptiles that have scales all over their skin. The armadillo is a mammal with scales called scutes. The fish, this clownfish, is scaly too. Butterflies, the scales on butterflies and moths' wings overlap like shingles and make the wings sturdier and better able to fly, but also release if they get caught in something like a spider web. J is for Jersey tiger moth. Jersey tiger moth has hind wings that are entirely different colors than the forewings. This is a moth anatomy lesson. Moths have 2 antennae, 2 eyes, a head, a proboscis, a thorax, an abdomen, a pair of forewings, and a pair of hind wings. These are the forewings that are black and white. These are the hind wings that are black. And let's go with salmon. K is for Kentish glory moth. Sorry, penguins. Moths have every continent except Antarctica. The Kentish glory moth is found only in Scotland. I wonder if it wears a kilt. L is for leopard moth. Leopards aren't the only animals with spots. Another good name for this moth could have been Dalmatian moth. Yeah, it does kind of look like a Dalmatian, doesn't it? It's very spotted, black and white. The long hind wings of the moon moth are similar to those of the Luna moth on the title page of this book. When long-tailed moths, gosh, that's hard to say. When long-tailed moths fly, their tails create vibrations that distract their biggest predators, bats. So M is for moon moth. N is for nutmeg moth. Who knew there was a nutmeg moth? This moth is named after a spice. Do some research. Are there other moths named after spices or herbs? Is there a parsley moth, a sage moth, a rosemary moth, a thyme moth? I wonder. You could go find out, huh? O is for oakworm moth. Cockroaches, sugar gliders, and skunks are creatures that shy away from light. Moths are the opposite. They are attracted to light. Moths will fly towards a lit candle, lantern, or porch light. Want to get rid of moths? Turn the lights off. You don't want to get rid of moths, right? You want us to come hang around because that's a cool thing. Butterflies usually fly during the day. Moths usually fly at night. The Pandora sphinx moth is most often seen flying at dusk. P is for Pandora sphinx moth. Q is for Quaker moth. Moths do not have teeth or fangs. They can't bite you and they don't chew their food. Moths drink with their proboscis, which looks like and works like a straw. See, there they are, that kind of sticking it in, the Quaker moth, into those flowers. Thirsty little moths, aren't they? R is for the rosy maple moth. I've really always wanted to see one of these. The rosy maple moth looks like a tropical insect, but it's actually found in the East Coast forests of North America. It gets its name from eating mostly maple tree leaves. People enjoy maple flavor too. S is for the sheep moth. Now, butterflies have straight antennae with a bump or club at the tip, but moths typically have pointed antennas, and some moths, like these sheep moths, have feathered antennas. So do some other moths that I know of. T is for tapestry moth. The tapestry moth is also called the carpet moth. These pesky moths got their names because their larvae feed on carpets, fabric, wood, or even birds' nests. They can ruin clothing and furniture in your house. If this moth gives you trouble, call an exterminator. Okay, I can't really support that. I mean, like, why wouldn't you want to feed a moth? A moth is just hungry, and that sweater looks delicious. U is for underwing moth. There is no such thing as a baby moth. When a moth comes out of its cocoon, it is already an adult. It is a baby during its caterpillar stage. So why don't we take a little pause here and learn about the moth's life cycle on the next page? You ready? I'm ready. I sort of already know this though. So here's the life cycle. First, moths lay eggs. See, eggs. Moths lay a lot of eggs. Many of the eggs are eaten by predators. The surviving eggs hatch into caterpillars. Caterpillar first eat their eggshells, then they eat leaves, then they eat and eat and eat and get fat. Remember the hungry caterpillar? The caterpillar is called, this caterpillar right here is called the blonde woolly bear. Cocoon, right? The moth caterpillar then builds a cocoon. The caterpillar is now called a pupa. A butterfly caterpillar turns into a chrysalis, but a moth caterpillar makes a cocoon. So that's the difference between a chrysalis and a cocoon. Eventually, the pupa matures and an adult moth emerges. V is for Venus moth. This moth is fuzzy. It's a myth that moths are hairy and fuzzy and butterflies are not. Both moths and butterflies can be quite fuzzy or not. W is for wasp moth. By the way, I am a fuzzy moth, just in case you were wondering. W is for wasp moth. Moths do not have claws or nails. Moths cannot scratch you, dig a hole, or get a manicure. So how do moths defend themselves against predators? Well, they fly erratically and are difficult to catch. The wasp moth's best defense is that it resembles a nasty stinging wasp. No one wants to mess with a wasp, even though this moth can't sting you. It just looks like it could. Doesn't it look like a wasp? It's pretty, but it's also a little bit scary, huh? X is for Zestia moth. Now, moths versus butterflies. There are ugly moths and ugly butterflies, and there are beautiful moths and beautiful butterflies. Scientists tell us that there are 150,000 different species of moth. There are 20,000 species of butterfly. There are not many moths that begin with the letter X. Y is for yucca moth. What a picky eater. Picky, picky, picky. The yucca moth likes to visit only one type of plant, the yucca. Moths prefer white plants and flowers because they are easier to see at night. Z is for the zigzag moth. Looking through this book, do you see a moth that might be a good design for a shirt, a coat, pants, or a scarf? Zigzag is a funky pattern to try out in your art class. Another word for the zigzag is chevron. Remember, this is not a butterfly alphabet book. There are a zillion children's books about butterflies. This has been a moth book, and I'm pretty happy about that. Well, I told you at some point that Sister Mothra was going to run out of moth-based children's literature, but it doesn't look like I really am. I've managed to find a lot of moth-based children's literature, haven't I? Well, I hope you have enjoyed this trip through the alphabet and getting to know a lot of my different mothy friends. I think moths are so cool. And I think it's so fascinating that they spin a cocoon and they change from a caterpillar into this beautiful flying creature. Change can happen to us anytime, and we can make ourselves different than we were yesterday or the month before or the year before. We're capable of that kind of change too. And that's pretty magical, isn't it? Well, this has been Sister Mothra of the Soil Sisters sharing with you another story in our Sister Story Time. Bye.
Hi everyone, my name is Sister Marjorie Arcana, and I am with the Soil Sisters, and the book that I wanted to read to you was Love Makes a Family by Sophie Beer. Love is waking up bright and early. Oh, I don't know if that's love. I'm not quite a morning person. But some people are. Love is baking a special cake. Now that to me is love. We all love us some good cake. Love is knowing where everything is. That makes sense too. Helping them to find some items, it looks like, in kind of a messy room. Love is finding the biggest puddles. I don't know about you, but when it rains out, I used to love to splash in these and jump in the puddles. I used to love getting all wet. Love is lending a helping hand. Oh. How many of you had a teddy bear growing up? I know I had a stuffed Barney that I would drag with me everywhere I went. Love is watching from the front row. Love is playing on the weekend. That's so sweet. They're spending time together on the weekend. Having a little tea party, it's looking like. Love is making things better again. Oh, it looks like she may have lost her ice cream. Love is washing away the day. I used to hate baths myself, but I grew into loving showers. It's kind of like my special time away from life. Love is reading one more book. One more book. Love is chasing away monsters. Absolutely. Nobody wants monsters in the house. Love is a kiss before bed. Good night. Thank you for joining me, listening to my story, and I hope you have a wonderful morning, day, evening, and may your week be blessed.
Hey everybody, Sister Milkshake here, and it's my honor today to introduce you all to the Soil Sisters' first postulant, Salacious Scuttlebutt, who we call Scuttles. Today, Scuttles will be playing for you Brahms' Lullaby. Did you know that Johannes Brahms wrote this for his mother in 1868? Well, now you do. That was just lovely. And thank you, everybody, for spending time with us. See you next month.